So we're here today at Miss Lynn's house, and she's going to be talking to us about gardening, vegetable gardening, and how to prepare for winter. So,
hello. Well, I think I got my start in gardening from my grandmother and my father, and I've just always loved gardening and been doing it for a long time. So I wanted to tell you about how to, we're here in the end of summer, and a lot of things start to transition, and so you need to start thinking about putting in fall crops. This little bed right here, it's a 15-inch raised bed, and it's really good. You don't have to get down on your knees as often. But what I've had here is tomatoes, and you can see they're looking pretty sad right now, but they still have tomatoes on them, coming on, and some new sprouts and things. Here's some more tomatoes, so I'm not gonna get rid of these. I want to get every tomato I can get off of what I've planted. But we've got some other area here that we can begin to clean up. And tomatoes this is a good companion plant for tomatoes. It's basil, and it smells wonderful. So I'm going to save that and dry it. But eventually all this will come out of here. This is an old basil plant that I've already harvested a lot off of.
Miss Lynn, what did you put into this garden bed? Just regular soil, or where did you get the soil from?
A raised bed, you have to have soil that's looser than what's in the ground. Mm-hmm. And so they make soil that's called raised bed soil, and then I might get a big bag of that, plus I add to it like peat moss and worm castings, mm-hmm. and just natural things that I don't really use a lot of fertilizer. I don't really use a lot of sprays for bugs if I can help it. Mm-hmm. So so the soil does have to be loose in a raised garden. And oh gosh, there's a tomato. I didn't see that one the other day when I was picking for my husband. All right, so this happens to be a bee balm plant. The bees love it, and I put it in here with my vegetables because it's a good companion for tomatoes. Here's some more basil, which I'm going to cut on down, save that, and I don't guess I'll take that out yet because it may grow a little bit more. So, but what I will do as soon as I can is take everything out of here. This was beans, and we're just going to pull the old bean plants out, and then we're going to put a bucket over here.
And those weeds are not wasted either, right?
No, there something? They go into the compost.
Okay.
And then one thing I wanted to tell you about is that in a raised bed, the soil gradually sinks down. So every season, you have to, of course, you want to stir it up, but you also end up adding a little bit more to it because you'd like it to be, not overflowing, but you'd like it to be as high as it can be so that the roots have depth to, and that helps also with the water, because you have to water a raised bed more than you would an in-ground garden. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we're gonna do this, and stir it up and probably add some more peat moss and some more worm castings. They're really good. Good fertilizer. And then we're ready to plant whatever we want to plant. And some good plants for winter, the ones I like and do well with are spinach, lettuce, beets, greens. And there's different kinds of greens. There's collards, there's kale, there's mustard, there's turnip greens. So you have all those varieties, and there may be other things that you can grow that would do well in someone else's garden, but those are the things that I like to eat. And lettuce, did I say lettuce? Anyway, lettuce. My husband loves salads, so we try to have lettuce. Okay, so after I got all that out and did this and added a little more soil to bring it up maybe to here, right to there, then we would go ahead and plant. And then I wanted to tell you about what happens in the winter. You plant now to get the plants to a size that they can withstand the cold. Because you can even have a winter garden. You can move your fall garden right on into winter by using various things. This right here is frost cloth, and it's made to withstand frost on the plant so that you can grow them. See, it's kind of the rain and the sunlight can come through here, and so you can put this frost cloth on there and just leave it on during as long as the plants will keep growing. And last year my plants grew up until December, covered up. And so I got these things, but I bought these. But if you're real inventive, you probably can have something at home that you can use. These are just, like these, and so I put them in here, and I would put them all across there, and then and I don't do this until it is frost. And that's going to be sometime in October. Hard. You just have to watch the weather.
So do you just put it up at when it starts frosting and just keep it up, or do you remove it daily? And
no, I don't remove it daily because they do well under here. Now, if you have a different type, there's one I have that's a dark green that I got at Lowe's. This I know you can get it through catalogs or at Gardens of Babylon.
My mama, Randy, you've changed.
We're recording.
say hi to Mr. David.
Everything that looks good in this yard, I taught her how to do it.
All right.
Spring, winter, doesn't matter.
So this, I just leave it on. But if I want to, I can, raise it up.
Yeah.
The harvest, or if I happen to want to let this get sun. And we're on the south side of the house, and that's good too for going.
Get most of the sun on the south side, right?
You get, and the heat, up against the brick and stuff. So, and in order, you're going to have wind and things like that. So I just decided to use these clips like you get for offices, And you can clip it on there, and even clip it on, or put a rock down here, to keep it from blowing. That's why I have my little bricks here to set on the edges.
It's for wind and.
For wind. And so you need to put plenty of clips on. And this particular bed, I can even clip it down like that. Anyway, so this is a great way to make it go through, like I said, even December or longer.
So with fall and winter crops, are you harvesting during the winter, or is it just get you through?
No, all winter long. Once I harvested spinach and beets and lettuce. Now the lettuce won't take as much cold as the spinach and greens. Greens don't even have to be covered.
Mhm.
They just keep going. They're great. But yeah, so that's my winter trick.
I've also heard that greens help in the springtime. When you pull them, it helps loosen the soil up. Is that?
Yeah, it would, especially if it's like the turnip greens, because they have long, deep roots, and kind of, you know, like a dandelion has long, deep roots, and it loosens the soil.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the purpose.
Yeah.
That's God's purpose in it all. Okay, so I wanted to show you one other thing around the corner here.
Okay.
Let's go over here. In-ground gardening is really good for some types of plants. But raised beds are very easy, much easier for people to do, especially if you're, you know, if your knees bother you and all that sort of thing.
So you made this raised bed?
Yes, I did. I built this raised bed out of
Wow.
old rocks that I got free at a place that sells beautiful rocks and things. And then they have the pile that you can take free. So anyway, and somebody taught me how to do it.
So you could easily do the same thing that you've done to the other ones with the wire
Oh yeah,
hooping and
definitely. And this being bigger, you see this is much wider, much taller than the 15-inch back there. And so it's going to have better, I even put real dirt in here and then mixed a lot of peat moss and things like that in here with it to loosen it up some. But this is in between a raised bed that's small and an actual garden soil that's probably dense and has clay in it and different things like that. So anyway, I put okra in here this year, among other things. It's my last crop I put in, and okra really needs, it really does great in the ground because it has a really deep root. But being as deep as this bed is, it does fine. And this is a variety that grows not as tall as the old-fashioned okra. So it's more for the home gardener. And so I would be pulling, you know, all of that out, and I'll plant 1 or 2 or 3 different kinds of crops in here, and I'll use those arch things that I showed you, and cover the whole thing when frost time comes, and it's just great because the difference in pot and even some smaller raised beds and the ground is that the plants have the water from rainwater that is all, down in the subsoil, and plants can pull from that. But when you put them in a raised bed, they're not going to have as much of that. Sometimes they don't have hardly any of that, so you do have to water more, and it's a little bit different environment. But the bigger the raised bed is, the more like a real garden in the dirt setting that it is, as far as the atmosphere for the plants. So anyway, this will be really good all year round.
That's great.
Everything's kind of, dying down at this time of year, but there's still beauty in it.
Time to start the new life.
That's right.
Here soon.
Start the new life.
Well, thank you so much for showing us around and giving your tips on what you do for prepping and working on a winter garden.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.